Dear Heroin, I am both happy and sad to say goodbye to you.
This journal was written by Thomas Ventura from Kings Park. His mother, Linda, is sharing it with us.
You've been my best friend for a long time.
These are an addict's most private thoughts and feelings about the inner struggle with the drug that ruled and ruined his life.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
You can feel his frustration.
I am definitely powerless over my addiction.
His desperation.
I'm confident in myself that I can stay sober.
And at times, his determination.
He had plans to do things with his life.
A life that began with happier times.
They made money selling shells at Montauk.
Her little boy who used to love fishing and forts.
This is probably 5th grade, 6th grade.
As a teenager, Thomas, like so many others, for whatever his reasons, started smoking pot and drinking beer.
This was 9th grade.
He was a star athlete at Kings Park High School. Football, wrestling, and lacrosse.
All-American boy.
An all-American boy who turned from pot and booze to pills and then heroin. Linda says within a few months, she knew he was in deep and realized she'd have to fight to keep her son alive.
We would go to detox, and he would try to do the meetings. And, it was always an uphill battle.
Carefully read these words that Thomas scrawled page after page, almost as if willing himself to do what he wrote.
It's an insidious drug. It just changes everything about them.
It changed Thomas's life. March 2012. It was the day Thomas came home from rehab, one of many he had been to. He spent the night at home, goofing around with his younger brother and his mom.
He was in a good place, and I went to sleep.
But for some reason, at some point that night, without telling his family, Thomas slipped quietly out of the house and used heroin.
I'm sure he figured, you know what, just one more time.
Linda left the house for work early the next morning.
I peeked in Thomas's room, and I saw it was really dark, and I saw, his bed, what I thought was him in his bed.
But Thomas wasn't just sleeping.
I was on an express train to Manhattan when the phone rang.
It was her younger son, and it was bad.
He was crying, and the pitch of his voice is just something that I will never, ever forget. And he was just telling me that his brother was dead and that he had found him.
The train made an emergency stop here in Cold Spring Harbor. A stranger here in the parking lot saw Linda stranded and sobbing and graciously offered to drive her home.
It was just a surreal scene, something that you just never can imagine is happening in your life, and by any stretch of the imagination.
Thomas died that day of a heroin overdose. He was 21 years old.
I don't miss Thomas the addict. I miss Thomas, my son, every second of every day.
I'm Shari Einhorn, News 12, Long Island.